Good evening and welcome to tonight's broadcast of high school basketball. St. John Paul the Great, the Wolves from Dumfries, Virginia, are in the Estes Athletic Center tonight to take on the Trinity Episcopal Titans in a non-conference clash. It is wet and cold outside, but it's toasty in the gym, and I'm Rick Hamlin, joined here by Ryan Lloyd. Ryan, excited to be here for what should be a good game tonight. What are you looking for?
Just definitely looking for the good game. It does look like the national anthem is going to start, so we will be right back.
All right, yes, we will respect the anthem and talk to you on the other side. All right, Ryan. So had our anthem, about to have our lineups. John Paul the Great comes in tonight with a record of 8-9, and they were on a 5-game winning streak until their last game. They did lose to Gonzaga from Washington, D.C., but Gonzaga is one of the top programs in the nation, so no shame in losing to them. But prior to that, they had a 5-game winning streak, which included victories over a couple of our Richmond rivals. John Paul beat Benedictine by 3 in overtime, as well as a 16-point win over Collegiate. And a couple other common opponents this year include Fork Union, who the Titans beat by about 40, and John Paul beat by 26. And then St. Christopher's, who, of course, Trinity beat here by 8. The Saints did beat John Paul the Great. But if you look at common opponents, it's pretty much a wash in the sense, like, they beat Collegiate, we lost to Collegiate, but we beat St. Christopher's and they lost to them, and then we both beat Benedictine, we both beat Fuma. So I think it should be a tight one.
For sure. I think on the flip side of that, the Titans come to this with a 3-game loss streak. They lost games last week to Woodbury Forest, and then to
Life Christian,
and then to Collegiate on Friday. So I think they're definitely looking, they play away at Stab on Friday, which both of us know is a phenomenal team.
Yep.
So I think picking up a win here is crucial if they want to keep the morale high for the game on Friday.
I could not agree with you more. I think this is one of those kind of what I call a circle the wagons game where, it's not necessarily one of your big rivals or even a prep league game, but you do not want to go to Stab on a 4-game losing streak. And last week was not a good week. The Woodbury game, they're very good this year. They're 17-2, so fair enough. You get a road loss to a very good team, but Life Christian at home, you called that one. Probably a game the Titans would like to have back, and then Collegiate was not a great night either. So, but the nice thing about high school basketball as opposed to maybe football, where you got to sit with it for a week, is generally you're playing every 2 to 3 days, and you can't get too high or too low. So, Guys got to bounce back tonight here on their home court and see if they can do that. And John Paul gets the tip, and their first possession is going to be a missed shot by Nathan Sinai, and Titans get the rebound. Trey Ferguson is into the starting lineup as Alex Chaikin misses a three. And Devion Brown not starting. He started most of the games this year. Trey gives you some defense and quickness, but they're able to shoot over Trey there as Jaden Harris draws first blood for the Wolves with a deep three. And in this first minute of the game, John Paul the Great scores first.
An interesting choice to go with Trey. I think we've seen Davion start basically every game since December. Interesting to not see him in the starting lineup.
Yeah, not sure if he missed practice or what that is, but Leland Coleman, first points for the Titans. A nice move by Leland as the shot clock was running low. Good ball movement by the Wolves, and they get another open three, but it's missed, and Luke Fisher rips down the rebound and looks to push the pace. Good pass by Luke to Mason Patrick. Left-handed layup is no good, and they're going to say that Luke Fisher touched that last, so it'll be Wolves ball under their own basket, and Titans looking to put on a little full-court pressure. People who've watched our previous TESPN broadcast will know I'm a big fan of what Mason Patrick brings to the table, but that was a pretty high degree of difficulty shot, left-handed, off balance, early in the shot clock. Didn't love the shot selection on that one. Little three-man weave action by the Wolves, and they're going to get a touch foul on Alex Chaikin, first on Chaikin and first on the team, first on either team for that matter. So the Wolves are going to set up an underneath inbounds play. Three guys on the left side of the basket and just the one guy coming off from the right. Tough pull-up goes by Jaden Harris.
I was defending him was Trey Ferguson. We just mentioned, Trey drops a few inches to Davion Brown, and I think that's one area where Davion has an advantage, but they're going to get a loose ball.
Yeah, good effort there by Trey as well as the Wolves. It's still loose, and finally we are going to have a jump ball. It should be John Paul the Great's possession, and got to give credit to number 10, Amarian Custis, with the rebound. I thought, did we not win the tip? I thought we did.
No.
My bad. All right, sorry, Trinity ball. So good effort there by Trey Ferguson, Leland Coleman getting on the floor. And as far as, Trey starting, some things he does bring to the table as Luke Fisher shoots a three just a little long. Good effort by Leland, but then he lost his footing. It'll be John Paul ball, but Trey gives you, obviously you sacrifice some height, but he gives you good on-ball pressure, good ball handling, and Trey is just a winner. I mean, we've seen it, two-time state football champion, going to the Naval Academy next year. It also allows Luke Fisher to have a little less ball handling responsibility and a little more opportunity to look for his shot and find his spot. So although Luke does a great job at point, I'm sure he doesn't mind Trey handling some of those ball handling responsibilities.
And I think, as you mentioned, with Trey bringing the ball up court, I think that takes more pressure off Alex Chaikin, because Chaikin recently has had to take a ton of threes. He's been probably the Titans' best. I mean, he is the Titans' best shooter, but he's been pretty much the only one taking three-point shots. He dropped 24 points in our last home game against Life Christian, and with Luke not having to bring the ball up court, it's going to allow him to get into a lot more positions that allow him to get some more shots off that we know he can make, because he is an excellent shooter.
Yeah, great point, Ryan. So we did get a foul there on the Wolves. That was Julian Garcia, his second team foul. Nice pass by Leland Coleman, but a good job by Jaden Harris to knock it out. of Alex Shakin's hands. Titans will retain possession, 10 on the shot clock. Down to 4 on the shot clock. Mason Patrick's going to have to put this up, and he does not get a shot off. And a little frustrating if you're a coach on that one. You've got a pretty quiet gym. Someone out there has got to recognize that the shot clock's running down, and Mason didn't seem to know. And it's frustrating that we don't even get an attempt on that possession. Great defense here by Luke Fisher. Ton of ball pressure, creates a turnover. Chaikin got the steal, but Luke Fisher really created that with his phenomenal on-the-ball defense. As both teams have turned it over now. Trey Ferguson for 3, in and out. Good job by Mason to keep it alive. Blocked, though, for the Wolves, and got to be a foul there. Yeah, number 10, Amarian Custis missed the layup. I did want to give credit for the block to Ilya Olenev, the 6'6 junior, did a good job defensively. All right, now we're going to have Trey Coles check in for Trey Ferguson. Trey Coles also very good ball handler. Good floor game. Gives you a little more size than Ferguson.
Bit more on shooting, I think, too.
Yeah, a little bit more shooting. Nice finish by Alex Chaikin. Left hand, little spin shot, and Titans cut it to 1. Both teams have defended very well. It's only 5-4 with less than 3.5 to go here in the first quarter. More great defense by Luke Fisher. He looks really motivated on the defensive end tonight. Not as good a defense there out on the right wing. And we're going to get a jump ball as once again Jamian Curtis now in the last 2 possessions for the Wolves has done a good job getting to the lane but hasn't been able to finish. And this alternate possession will stay with John Paul. 19 seconds on the shot clock. Well, that was easy. Throw it right in and get an open jumper from Olenev, and the lead is back to 3. And Mason Patrick shuffled that pivot foot, and that's a travel. Just too many empty possessions here in the first 5 minutes for the Titans. I think probably at least half our possessions we haven't even gotten it to the rim, either a turnover or a block shot. Good steal there. That is a really tough call to take if you are a Titan fan. They're going to actually call it on Luke Fisher. I mean, Leland Coleman looked like he had a clean swipe, but I guess they're going to say that Fisher got him on the arm.
Maybe slightly before Leland's possible clean steal.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, but got to respect the call. At least it's not a shooting foul. Hopefully, Titans can defend this inbounds play a little better than the last one. And to do a good job. Had to switch a couple of defensive commitments, but that was a really smart play by Jaden Harris as he saw he had Mason Patrick on him, who's not quite as quick as Luke Fisher, and Jaden took him right to the rim. And the lead is 5 for John Paul the Great. Trey Coles for 3 is nice. We had a beautiful angle on that, and always something about lefties that when they go in, it looks even sweeter. Great job by Trey Coles.
Again.
And this time Curtis with the jump stop, but he's called for a travel. And we're going to have a sub for John Paul the Great. The sub coming in is Nathan Sinai. Both teams have been exclusively man-to-man so far. Sinai went for the steal, didn't get it. Luke's pull-up is long, but he gets his own rebound. What a little dish by Fisher to Patrick, and he gets the roll, and we are tied up at 9. And Ryan, we said before the game we expected a close one, and so far it's delivered.
Both teams under double digits with about a minute and a half. It's going to stay that way as Mason Patrick gets a rebound.
Yeah, that three-pointer was in and out, and Trey Coles, good pass to Chaikin. Love that inside-out look, and it's going to be a 3-shot foul as Amarian Custis didn't allow Chaikin to land, and put in Alex Chaikin on the line for 3 is great news if you're a Titan fan. Definitely one of the better free throw shooters that we've got on the team. So I guess that was the old announcer's jinx, as I told you Alex Chaikin was a great free throw shooter, and he missed the first, but he's going to make the next 2.
Agreed.
As we knock on plastic. Hey, there we go, and for the first time tonight, the Titans have the lead at 10-9. Couple subs coming in. Actually, looks like 3 subs coming in. Carter Shuma for the first time, Devion Brown for the first time tonight, and Trey Ferguson back in. And along with Trey Coles and then Chaikin at the line. And he did make the last 2. So Titans with their largest lead of the game thus far at 11-9. And interesting to see Devion Brown get the assignment on their point guard as we get a travel there called on Ilya Olenev. But the point guard for John Paul, Jaden Harris, has 7 of their 9 points. And, you know, we've seen Devion Brown, Fat Rat, as we like to call him here, guard all kinds of players. We've seen him guard interior guys. We've seen him guard wings like Curtis Blair from Stewart and Brandon Jennings from St. Christopher's. And now we see him on the point guard. It just shows you Fat Rat's versatility at the defensive end, that you can put him up against just about anyone. I mean, maybe not a 7-footer, but you don't see many of those in high school. And he gets a block there, but they're going to call a foul on Devion Brown. No, it's not on Devion. It's Trey Ferguson, sort of similar to that last foul we saw on Luke Fisher, where they're going to say that it was not the guy who took the ball, but the help defender. And to be fair, they've caught it pretty tight at both ends. I mean, the 3-shot foul that Chaikin got wasn't a ton of contact in that one. That's 2 against Trinity that have been pretty minimal contact. But as long as they're consistent, you'll take it. And looks to me thus far like the Titans have a little bit more depth than the Wolves, as Trinity's already played 9 guys, and John Paul the Great has only played, I think, 6 thus far. And he missed them both. That is the second foul on Trey Ferguson, so he'll come back out of the game as Luke Fisher comes back in, and we're down to 15 seconds to go. 2-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock, so Titans can't quite hold for the last shot. Travel called on Devion Brown, as they're going to say he switched his pivot foot, and just a lot of whistles in general this first quarter.
For sure. I think that contributes to the low scoring of the game.
Yeah, it has not been a particularly well-played first quarter on the offensive end for either team, although I've been impressed with both teams' defensive effort. And when the quarter ends, I'm going to give you a theory for why it's been that way, as a tough runner does not go at the end of the quarter by Julian Garcia. And Titans do leave 11-9 at the end of one. But, Ryan, what I was going to say is this is not the high water mark for confidence for Trinity coming on the 3-game losing streak like we talked about. So it would have been surprising if they just came out with a perfect first quarter. I think they have to reestablish some confidence. You got to be pleased if you're a Titan fan that despite not having a very good offensive quarter, still got a lead. And then from John Paul the Great's perspective, I can tell you, the trip between Dumfries, where they're located, and here in Richmond, especially on a rainy evening on 95. I mean, that would have been a long bus ride for these guys, and it's going to take them a little time to get up to the speed of the game. I mean, you also look around. I mean, our viewers at home can see it's not exactly a packed house tonight at Estes. It's not quite the atmosphere that we often get when you have a big prep league game or an in-town rival. So overall, I just think both teams a little sloppy, little low on confidence, but you also got to give some credit to both defenses. I think that both teams have done a nice job defensively. Just going to try and get some stats real quick. For the Titans, leading scorer so far is Chaikin with 4. Mason Patrick and Luke Fisher have 2 rebounds each. And, of course, Harris with 7 of the 9 points for the Wolves, leading the way for them after 1. Luke Fisher to the spin move, back to his left. Wow. What a finish. And we've talked about it, but, you know, Luke can score at all 3 levels. He's great in the lane. He's got that mid-range game, and he also can hit threes. And speaking of hitting threes, William Hancock, the freshman, knocks one down for John Paul the Great and cuts it back to 1. Now a steal by Harris. But a turnover. Those are the kind of sloppy plays I was referencing. Just Harris tries to force a pass. It's a little low, hard to handle, and even the turnover at the other end that led to it. We've seen a lot of turnovers in the first 8 minutes and 44 seconds of this one.
Agreed. I think that's something that we've seen increase on the Titans' end. I think teams have started to play more full court presses against them, and it's worked against the Titans. They've offered more turnovers like that one by Leland right there.
Another turnover there, and Leland gets it back with a block at the other end and then turns it right back over again. Harris with several steals already, and he's going to score and draw the foul. And Carter Shuma is wondering what contact did y'all see there, but I thought Harris was clever in initiating the contact, and Shuma's so big and strong that any contact at all is going to create a reaction. And so the Wolves regain the lead by 1, and Harris will have a chance to increase it to 2 if he can make this free throw. And he gets it to roll in. Mason Patrick coming back in for Carter Shuma. Clearly Carter frustrated by that call, but I'm a little frustrated with 3 consecutive turnovers by the Titans after that Luke Fisher drive gave him a 4-point lead, and now we're down 2 and haven't even gotten a shot for 3 straight possessions. Nice back door. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Great cut by Fisher, great pass by Brown, and a good finish by Fisher. Actually thought that could have been an and one, but we didn't get it. Harris has scored now, what is that, I think 12 of the 17 for the Wolves. Leland step back, another good pass, this time to Chaikin, and there's that and one.
There it is.
Credit to Leland for a great assist.
And Chaikin's going to have the opportunity to take back the lead for the Titans. I think we talked about the 3 consecutive turnovers, and I think the Titans answered with 2 great passes that led to 2 really good buckets and great finishes.
Absolutely, and Chaikin does nail that free throw and put Trinity back on top, and you know, perhaps not a coincidence that the offense has looked a little smoother with sort of the normal starting 5 out there as well. Great rebound by Devion Brown, and shows you that versatility as he brings it up. Pass to Patrick, no good, but Devion Brown with the offensive rebound and the stick back, and Devion had a couple turnovers coming off the bench where maybe he's not accustomed to, but it looks like now he's into the flow of the game and getting rebounds at both ends. He had the great assist to Luke Fisher, and in the last 3 possessions, Devion Brown has contributed a lot at both ends. Also just think the pace has really picked up. I mean, if you think about it, it was 11-9 at the end of the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Thus far in this quarter, Titans have scored 9 and John Paul 8, and we're barely 2 minutes into it. We've already almost reached the total points scored in the first quarter. So you just see both teams kind of knocking off that rust, like I said, and really well executed play there. Luke Fisher used the ball screen and then hit Mason Patrick in stride for the layup. And after 3 sloppy possessions in a row, that's 4 excellent possessions in a row by Trinity. And the largest lead of the game for the Titans is 5.
Mm-hmm.
Good closeout by Mason Patrick. And now Mason gets a steal. But again, those transition turnovers just kill you. And now Harris wide open. He missed. The putback no good, but a third shot. And this time Ilya Olenev does score and cuts it back to 3. And as a coach, these turnovers just drive you crazy. But Luke Fisher, that's not a turnover. He takes matters into his own hand, the senior point guard. Pull up, contested 3 is nothing but the bottom of the net. And a new high water mark as a 6-point lead for the Titans. And we know Luke's kind of a quiet guy, but he is really communicating out there on defense. Good contest by Leland Coleman. Leland secures the loose ball. Over to Fisher, back to Leland, and he does draw the foul. I probably, if I was Luke Fisher, who to be fair has had a great first quarter and a half tonight, probably would have just taken the layup. I think he had it. Kind of went for the spectacular.
I think so, but I think the pass was a little bit behind him, and he was just trying to offload it, and I think wanted to get some style points for Leland.
No doubt. I don't know if y'all can see on the video. I think you can't quite see it, but right behind the basket we're shooting at is one of these guys that makes like highlight mixtapes, and if that had come off clean, it would have been one for the mixtape as Leland misses the first free throw. But I can assure you, having coached many, many games in this gym, that when the mixtape dudes show up, sometimes guys make slightly different decisions. And I mean, it's human nature, especially for teenagers.
For sure.
All right, Leland's second free throw is good. And lead is up to 7.
Better cross into the second half of the second quarter.
Yeah, and Trey Coles is in for Devion Brown, who, after not the greatest start for him when he came in, Fat Rat really got it going here in the second quarter. That's a good take, but no foul. I thought maybe Leland got away with one there. Now Alex Chaikin with a pull-up 3. He's not quite as comfortable in the pull-up as he is on the catch and shoot, but still very capable of making that. Mason Patrick's going to pick up a foul as he fought for the rebound, but definitely ran into the St. John Paul the Great player. I believe it was Amarian Custis who drew the foul. Just the 5th team foul, so still no bonus yet for the Wolves. Titans will shoot 1-1 next time, and we have a travel. That same official is called traveling 3 or 4 times now, and each time the player who gets it called has a bit of a quizzical look.
Yeah.
I didn't see much in that either, but I guess you'd say at least they're being consistent.
Good.
Luke Fisher is fouled on the jumper, and I'm not sure. Okay, so as a coach, maybe the 2 things that drive you the most crazy are turnovers, especially live ball turnovers in transition, which we've seen a lot of tonight, and fouling a jump shooter, which we've now seen John Paul the Great do a couple of times tonight. It's just absolutely infuriating if you're Coach Angelo Hunt to foul a guy shooting a jump shot. And then that's also interesting. They called it 1-1. I mean, clearly Luke was shooting. Doesn't matter because he made the first shot, but I don't understand how a shooting foul could be a 1-1. Anyway, it's irrelevant as Luke knocks them both down and extends to now a new largest lead of the game at 9. And this second quarter has been a really good one for Trinity. He's already scored 17 points and another travel. It's our same official who loves to call him. He called him again.
I think whatever you say about these travels that are being called, I think some officials notice them more than others. I think it's a product of, you watch guys in professional basketball in the NBA, and they kind of probably get away with a lot of travels. And I think as, these high school players, they're young and they watch, their idols play, and they see them get away with things and think they can possibly get away with some of the same things. And these officials are looking a little bit more closely because they know those technical fouls will probably come.
Yeah, and one of the things also that's hard from a coaching standpoint is in practice, a lot of times little travels like that, you let them go because you don't want to ruin the flow of practice. But if you don't call them, it can also lead to some bad habits. As we had the third foul there on Custis, it's 1-1 for Leland Coleman. Swish. And for the first time tonight, it's a double-digit margin. And it will be a little bit of a test of John Paul the Great's depth with one of the starters, Custis, now with 3 first-half fouls. We see Justice Washington into the game, I believe for the first time, or if he has played previously, I didn't really notice him. So Wolves having to go a little deeper into the bench. Great pass by Harris.
Shot off.
Yeah, good rebound there by Devion Brown. Great pass ahead, Trey Coles. Luke Fisher with the left-handed layup, and Luke is bringing it tonight. He's gotten rebounds, he's made assists, and we'll get the official stats for you at halftime, but I think Luke's got to be in double figures now. And your other senior co-captain, Leland Coleman, getting in with a big block, and both those guys have really had a great first half so far, especially the second quarter.
Agreed.
Good closeout by Leland. Spin move from Harris. Shot clock down to 5. And another travel. Great defense by Trinity. And obviously we tend to focus more on what's going on with Trinity as we are TESPN. But I know Coach Hunt, the John Paul the Great coach, and he's got to be frustrated with all these turnovers. It's been a really poor second quarter offensively by John Paul the Great. Steal there, though, and that's got to be frustrating for Coach Blazer when you got all the momentum and you literally just gave them the ball. Harris is tough, man. He's got a lot of different moves. Another travel, and I can't help but look at Coach Angelo Hunt, who is walking behind his own bench, hands in his head.
A little bit frustrated, I'd say.
That is a look of frustration. But I'm surprised he hasn't called a timeout.
Both teams.
Yeah.
No timeouts the whole game. Both teams currently sitting at 5.
Yep. Chaikin, tough take. He tried to draw the foul. No call, though, and it'll be out of bounds to John Paul the Great. I do think Devion Brown has done a great job on Harris, although now, just as I say that, they're going to get him for a foul. But it felt like number 1, Jaden Harris, for John Paul the Great, could kind of do whatever he wanted that first quarter, but it's definitely been a little tougher on him here in the second while being guarded by Fat Rat.
Yeah.
That is just the first foul on Devion Brown. So you remember he had that block earlier that I thought was a foul on him, but they called it on Trey Ferguson. Yeah. And that was the 16th foul, so any more, and John Paul will shoot free throws. Deep 3 is airballed. Trey Coles rebounds, and he looks to run. Nice handles by Trey Coles. Devion Brown, and 1. Assist Trey Coles. Great finish by Devion Brown, and I love it when we get out and run in transition.
I think the real turning point in this game has been those in transition plays. We see them time and time again, and we saw one right there. And I think the backbone of those is great passes, which I think, especially in the second quarter, as we see the Titans have really exploded in this second quarter. Still got a minute left, to go in it, but they've had phenomenal passes, which have led to just some phenomenal buckets for them.
Yeah, I think it was 22-19. So, I think it's a 13-0 run for the Titans, I'm pretty sure. And a lot of those buckets have been in transition and off turnovers. As Harris, you could tell, you could see it in his eyes like, oh, I don't have Fat Rat on me. I think I'm going to take this one then. He is able to draw a foul. They're going to get Alex Chaikin for his first, but I'm not entirely sure how it may have just been because Fat Rat shot the free throw. So because he was focused on that, he didn't pick up Harris. But you can see when Harris gets a defender on him that is not quite as quick laterally, he just puts his head down and goes.
Agreed. I think that's why he was so good. He was so good in the first half because Davion Brown wasn't in the game.
Yeah.
And even when he did come in, he was a little cold off the bench, but he's heated up and his defensive performance has helped the Titans.
No question. Well,
Wolves.
also, getting back to your point about in transition, as Luke Fisher, I thought he was going to get that left-handed scoop shot to go. But if you just look at the guys on this team, a lot of them are incredibly effective in transition. Luke, Leland, Trey Coles, Devion Brown, Mason Patrick, all those guys, Trey Ferguson, in space, they're quick. They love to run the court. Alex Chaikin maybe a little more comfortable in half-court sets, but anytime these guys can get out in transition, I think it's a comfort zone for a lot of the Titan players.
Good.
And Alex, just to be fair too, he's worked a ton on his handle and finishing. It's not like he's not a great athlete in his own right. I just think he's a guy, because he relies on screens being set at times for him, who maybe thrives in the half court. But you can tell it's been a point of emphasis with how much we've gotten out to run tonight, that something they've been working on. All right, shot clock is off as Fisher gets another rebound. Titans can hold for the last shot. We got about 12 seconds left in this quarter. I do not want to see them shoot too early, which we've seen at times this year. Well, they're not going to get the chance to shoot too early. They're going to shoot 2 free throws. And Devion Brown draws foul number 10 on the Wolves.
Both teams in the bonus 17 fouls this half. I think we've seen that. Not only 17 fouls, but probably what feels like 17 travels from the teams.
Yeah.
As that ref
it
has
has
called,
to be
called,
at least
called
about
a minute.
8 travels between the two teams. Titans, as the quarter and half for that matter is winding down, put in a bunch of subs. Cameron Lindo, Colin Edsel, Carter Schuma, and Trey Ferguson all come in the game. So everyone subbed out except your shooter, Devion Brown. Edsel able to get the rebound, and it goes off of John Paul, and you're going to see all those starters come back in with an offensive possession. So it was 5.9 when Devion shot the free throws, 5.6. So those dudes got 3/10 there, but regained possession for the Titans. Nice inbounds play, and clearly the decision to put the starters back in pays off with the layup for Mason Patrick. Biggest lead of the game for the Titans. Halftime score is Trinity Episcopal 37, John Paul the Great 21. And before we take a halftime break, let's get some stats for you guys. We'll start with the Titans. Leading scorer is Luke Fisher with 11, but we've also got Devion Brown with 6, Alex Chaikin with 6, Mason Patrick actually has 7, and Leland Coleman with 5, Trey Coles with 3. In the rebounding category, it is Devion Brown leading the way with 3. Devion Brown has 4, Luke Fisher and Mason Patrick with 3 each. And for John Paul the Great, as a team, they've got 21 points. Well, Jaden Harris has 14 of them. I believe that is 2/3 of all the points for John Paul the Great. Their second leading scorer would be Olenev with 4. Olenev is the leading rebounder with 4 rebounds as well. And we don't have the turnover stats, which is probably a good thing for these players because there have been quite a few. Also, I think you're going to hopefully see here on your screen in the next couple minutes, we're going to debut. We have a new way to put some stat graphics out there for you. So our producer extraordinaire, Ash Bell, is going to input some stats, and you'll see those on your screen. Ryan, before we break, any first half recap you'd like to provide for our viewers?
Yeah, I think the Titans now
Hey.
with a comfortable lead. Shout out
ESPN
Ash.
history made
Mhm.
with the first
On-screen graphic.
on-screen stat graphic. Gotta love that.
Yeah. As I was saying, I think the Titans now with a comfortable lead. Don't get too comfortable though. We've seen them get complacent at times, but I think that's a attribute to probably the similar size of this St. John Paul the Great team. The Wolves have one player who is 6'6". Other than that, I think their roster is 6'3" and below. I think that really helps out the Titans. It forces Leland not to have to guard, these big men that we've seen him have to in the past. We look at Darius Gray from St. Christopher's, and then Judah Edbo from the Life Christian game. I think when Leland has to guard those guys, it puts a lot of pressure on him, and it doesn't free him up to be as offensively minded as I think he would like to.
No, that's a great point. And also Woodbury, I apologize, I don't remember the young man's name, but Woodbury has like a 6'11" guy. And it also changes what the Titans can do offensively. With 37 first half points, I mean, I bet you, let me think. We had Alex Chaikin. I actually don't know if he hit a 3. Luke Fisher hit a 3. Trey Coles hit a 3. I think we've only hit 2 3-pointers. So the other 31 points have pretty much all been in the lane or at the free throw line.
Yep.
And the lack of rim protection for John Paul the Great has clearly opened up offensive opportunities for the Titans. And, for me as a long time ago former guard and a smaller guy, when, back in the 90s when I used to be out there with my running mate Ned Widoff, the backcourt for us as 2 smaller guards, when we had a team that didn't have a lot of size and rim protection, we knew it was time to eat. And if you could get by that perimeter, you could get all the way to the rim. On the flip side, you play a team with guys 6'8", 6'9", and shot blockers, it really changes what you're able to do offensively. So it's great to see just them taking advantage of those opportunities of getting the ball to the basket. All right, Ryan, great analysis on your part. We got about 6.5 minutes till the second half begins, so we are going to take a quick break. But stick around for the second half. Titans playing well. Second quarter was 26 for Trinity and only 12 for John Paul the Great. Hopefully we'll keep it rolling in the second half. Please stick around. Be right back.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're back for second half action. We talked at the end of the first quarter that it was pretty sloppy by both teams. A lot of turnovers, a lot of lethargy. Titans coming in a little low on confidence after not a good week last week. Wolves coming in off a long bus ride, but we are in the second quarter. We saw a Titan team that was hitting on all cylinders. One of the better quarters that we've played all season, and getting contributions from a lot of different guys and getting out in transition. And like we talked about at halftime, the beginning of the halftime, John Paul the Great's lack of an interior presence and rim protection really gave the green light for the Titans to attack the glass, and got a lot of backdoor cuts in the half court and a lot of transition layups and fouls and full court. All right, John Paul's going to start with it here in the second half, and I'm sure Coach Angelo Hunt got into his guys a little bit in the locker room about taking better care of the ball. And they start off the second half with a good look, but shot is long. And even though Trey Ferguson won't be in the stat sheet, his box out there was excellent to lead to that rebound.
You probably saw that on your screen. Luke Fisher initially taking the ball, and then he indicates for Trey Ferguson to come back and have Ferguson take the ball up, which results in a great possession.
Yeah, there's more points in the paint. Again, we talked about that lack of an interior presence, and a good pass by Leland Coleman to Mason Patrick. They're going to get a foul on Leland. He's now going to get a technical foul. He did not like the initial call, and then had something to say about it. Actually, I think the technical is on Trey Ferguson. So the personal on Leland, and I didn't think he said anything. He kind of
just had his
stood
mouth
there
open
with a look of disbelief, and then Trey must have said something, and it's going to be 2 free throws and possession for John Paul the Great. And yeah, you got an 18-point lead, but man, you hate to just give away free points like this. It was not a shooting foul initially, right? So it just would have been John Paul sideline out of bounds. Those are 2 free points. Foul shots were made by William Hancock, the freshman for the Wolves, but that I don't like it. I have no problem with the call. I love Trey Ferguson, but why?
Yeah.
Why you got to say something? Just play the next play. It's not a big deal. First team foul, sideline out of bounds, and now instead you give him 2 points.
Ooh.
Spin move, nice finish by Julian Garcia. We've seen Garcia with a couple 3-point attempts. Thought he was more of a shooter, but he showed off some real skill on that drive to the basket. Good catch by Alex Shakin, and he got called for a travel. Looked like he got bumped a little bit, but not going to get that call. That's the same official that called the technical on Trey. And I do think sometimes it's not just the technical. You kind of, I mean, these referees are human. You say something inappropriate to them, and they might even subconsciously respond by maybe the closer calls go against you. So like that double dribble that they didn't just call, which was a blatant double dribble by Garcia that he gets away with. Got to be over the back there, and it is. And that's going to be the 4th foul on Amarian Custis, and that's a tough one for the Wolves. I mean, I think it was a good call, but I'm sure that Coach Hunt told Custis coming out in the second half with 3, or coming out to start the second half with 3, you got to be careful, young man. And 2 minutes in, and now he's got 4, and you have to think he'll spend at least the rest of this third quarter on the bench.
Yeah. Definitely not what the coach would have wanted. I think while we've seen Jaden Harris put up a lot of points in the majority of them.
That is a beautifully executed play. All 5 guys touch it. Flare screen with Alex Shakin popping out to the wing. Luke Fisher finds him, and that was a really well executed play by Coach Blazer's guys there. But Hancock responds with a 3-pointer of his own for John Paul the Great. actually think this might be the same play by Trinity, but this time they get it to Leland Coleman on the block. He missed the layup. Didn't go up strongly with that one. What a pass.
Great shot.
Jaden
too.
Harris finds Garcia. That was a phenomenal pass. I would recommend any viewer, as Coach Blazer calls it, the first time out of the night by either team, but I would recommend anybody go back on your stream about 15 or 20 seconds and watch that pass that Jaden Harris just threw. Left-handed. How he saw Garcia, I don't know.
Yeah.
Completely opposite corner. Absolutely brilliant pass. And it's back to 11, which is as close as it's been in a while here, Ryan.
Timeout's a good move by Blazer, wanting to stop the momentum of the Wolves. And looks like he's drawing up a play down there. Hopefully, we saw the last one that it looked like he created work to perfection. So hopefully looking to replicate that success.
Yeah, I totally agree. Great timeout. Wolves just on a quick 6-0 run. Also, Titans, just missed a layup. And you got five, prior to that one. So that's why, Ryan, you and I have talked about this before, but I always, when I was coaching, was happy to use one first half timeout, but always wanted to have at least ideally 4 going into the second half, and having 5 is even nicer. So, that's what you're saving them for, is to try and stem the momentum before the game even gets into a single-digit situation and that game pressure mounts. Devion Brown checks in for Trey Ferguson. This is, I guess, what you might call the, quote, normal starting lineup. And whatever play that Coach Blazer drew up worked to perfection there, as the ball screen got Luke Fisher open for a wide-open layup, and we know how well Luke finishes in the lane. Good rebound there by Alex Chaikin. I genuinely don't think he'd have come up with that rebound last year. No. But you see that muscle he's added. Fisher's 3 is no good. Mason Patrick's rebound is taken out of his hands by Jaden Harris. Blocked by Chaikin. Luke's rebound. What a pass to Devion Brown! And I don't know if any of my former players are watching, but if you are, you know that I love those vertical passes in behind the defense. And Luke Fisher will have practiced those a bunch his sophomore year, and it's beautiful to see him execute that. And obviously Devion Brown, as the receiver, knows how to catch them.
Yep.
One of the top wide receivers in the nation, class of 2026. Mason Patrick with another rebound. Not going to have it taken out of his hands this time. Learned his lesson. Leland Coleman back to Chaikin. One dribble pull up. No. Devion Brown rebound. Tried to knock it off the defender, but unable to. It's getting a little chaotic, but in a fun way. Not like the first quarter, which was chaotic in just a ugly
mess.
way.
Yeah.
John Paul the Great has shot a lot of threes. They have not made very many thus far. Luke Fisher, spin to the left hand, and it takes hours in the gym to perfect a move like that, and Luke Fisher is the ultimate gym rat, and we see him there get the defensive rebound. Luke has really been on point tonight at both ends of the court. Just got that one across the timeline before the 10-second call. That was a good-looking play design, and Leland just tried to sort of dunk it before he had the handle. Trey Coles checking in for Mason Patrick. 2:47 to go, quarter number 3. Titans with a 17-point lead, and if you joined us late, I mean, this John Paul the Great team last week, early part of last week, beat Collegiate by 16. Then Collegiate rebounded by beating the Titans by 13. So good to see Trinity flush that last poor performance from Friday night, and hopefully on the way back to winning ways with a big one looming at Stab on Friday, which will be as good as any team that these Trinity Titans will play all year. Pull up with 1 second on the shot clock, and Garcia nails it. Garcia has had a really good third quarter here. I believe that's 7 points he scored here in the third quarter. And then Coach Angelo Hunt calls his first timeout of the game. And anytime you see a coach call a timeout after a make like that, you can frequently expect they're trying to set up some type of a press.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're going to be on defense.
Yeah. I think that press, we talk about it being successful against the Titans. I'm not sure how much film that St. John Paul watched, but they know that, there is a weakness there. And if they can exploit it, I think it'll do well for them. I also think on the flip side, Coach Blair in practice, from talking to guys on the team, has really put an emphasis on combating that full court press because it has been detrimental to them in not allowing them to get up the court and get those plays in transitions, which have been so successful for them tonight.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to peek into the Wolves huddle, and Coach Hunt, he's still very composed. I don't see him drawing anything up. I just see him looking into the eyes of his guys, and it seems to me couldn't hear what he said, but it looked like he was just trying to give them belief that this game's not over yet. And they do look to apply some full court pressure. It looks like a zone type of a look, a 2-2-1, 3-quarter court. Look for them to try and trap here across midcourt if they can get it in the corner. Well, no, I thought they would have trapped that one, but they just kind of fell back into a man-to-man. No, it is a zone. First time they've gone zone, and it does create a turnover. It's a sloppy pass by Devion Brown there, and Harris has at least 5 steals. You cannot be sloppy around him. And Hancock with a 3, and John Paul the Great, we talked about they'd shot a lot of threes and not made many. Well, they made 3 in quick succession here in the third quarter. Luke again with the left hand finish in traffic. I think Luke Fisher might have more left-handed points than right-handed points tonight.
Very possible.
I believe that's the 4th layup he's made with the left.
Speaks to
Harris pull up.
His ability to be well-rounded as a player. Well-rounded as his player, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to. Well, I'm gonna save this thought for the next dead ball, but Leland Coleman's gonna get called for an offensive foul. I did think he pushed off a little with that left arm, and he didn't need to. He's 4 inches taller than that guy. Just shoot over him. You don't need to do that. Going to be Leland second, and he's going to get subbed out. And I think the coaches just want to get his body language and confidence back up again. We had the dead ball, but we're back in play. So I still have something I want to say. Maybe at the end of the quarter.
We'll see Trey Coles coming in for Leland as it gets checked out. There's your dead ball.
Here's our dead ball. All right, I was just going to say, because I don't have the exact schedule in front of me, but we probably have maybe, 3, 4, I think after tonight, 4 home games left. Collegiate, Benedictine, Woodbury, Stab, and then hopefully maybe a home prep league game. But just for Titan fans to enjoy watching Luke Fisher, in these last few home games, because there aren't many guys that are able to do what Luke's able to do at his size. The way he finishes around the basket, all the different, you'd almost call them trick shots that he's able to make, that if you haven't seen him play, he puts up shots that you're like, no way, but he makes them at a high rate, and just how much he cares about winning. So I just want, Titan Nation to appreciate these last few opportunities to see, hopefully, if you're able to get here to Estes Athletic Center, see Luke Fisher, as well as the other seniors, Leland Coleman, Trey Ferguson, Colin Edsel, and Carter Schuma play in person. But if you're not in town or not able to get here, we got you covered. We'll be broadcasting all these remaining home games, and just enjoy these seniors while they're still here, because it's a great group to root for, and just Luke in particular is a very unique player in a lot of ways in this day and age, and he's earned it. Guy works incredibly hard.
Wow.
Harris again takes it right to the rack, and I do think that is what you give up when Leland Coleman's not in the game, because he provides that rim protection on the back end for the Titans, and Jaden Harris saw that opportunity, and again John Paul the Great goes zone. Trey Coles probes the defense. Good pass. Here's Luke Fisher for 3. Off the mark. Trap him. Good trap, but a good job getting out of it. 2-1, and they are not going to get a shot off. Good sportsmanship there by Luke Fisher. I would actually say he kind of fouled the crap out of the guy, but the shot was gone.
Yeah.
So you can't foul after the play, but he still helped him up, which was nice to see. All right, we got 1 quarter to go. So, Ryan, remind me, the halftime deficit, or in Titans' case, the halftime lead was, the margin was, I think, 16?
Yeah, 16 or 17.
I think it was 37-21. So John Paul chipped away a little that quarter as they brought that 16-point lead down to 13. But that last time out by Coach Blazer, I was sort of spent the time waxing poetic about our seniors, but he was not pleased. He was definitely getting on the guys a little bit. I don't know if it was for some of the defensive intensity slipping, because John Paul the Great scored 21 points the whole first half and then almost matched that in the third quarter alone with 19. So I suspect he may have been frustrated with the defense, but also some of the shot selection on offense wasn't ideal either. So, again, that's why you save these timeouts. So when we get down in the second half and what you sometimes refer to as winning time, you can remind the guys of those things they need to get you to the finish line. It'll be Titan ball to open quarter number 4 with that 13-point lead. They'll come out with Fisher, Chaikin, Patrick, Brown, and Coleman. The group we've seen start most games this season, although tonight it was Trey Ferguson in the lineup. John Paul the Great playing a 2-3 zone. Devion Brown probably got away with the travel there, which is kind of ironic because they've called so many travels tonight. Luke Fisher going left, pulls up from 3. It's off the mark. Harris with a rebound. Out of bounds. They're going to say it's going to stay here.
Bulls will take possession.
Yeah, so shot clock is at 20. John Paul the Great ball. They've run some nice stuff in terms of their inbounds plays from underneath, so Titans got to be alert here defensively. That was well defended, and they're forced to throw it out top. So that was a good job by Trinity to adjust, because they had a couple easy looks off of inbounds plays earlier.
Oh, great job by Mason Patrick.
And
he's going to get the block, but I believe his foot did step out of bounds on that one.
I mean, Patrick blocked it. I thought the foot I saw step out of bounds was number 30 for John Paul the Great. And we definitely heard some of the Titan fans did not like that call, that John Paul will retain possession, but only 5 on the shot clock. Custis back in. He is going to have to throw up a desperation heave. It got the rim, so
Play will
no
continue.
violation. Good pass by Luke Fisher. Alex Chaikin doesn't get it to go, but good job by Leland Coleman. There we see Fisher with a pull-up, maybe partially blocked, or maybe just airballed it, but regardless, it was way short.
Harris with the ball, passes it out.
Ooh, yeah, and a nice scoop layup there by Amari and Custis. Custis has been in foul trouble for most of the game, but he's playing with 4, but it was a nice move by him there. And with the lead at 11, this is as close as we've seen it in the second half.
Luke Fisher, 3-pointer, off the
Yeah,
mark.
another one that comes up short. Good effort for the loose ball. They're going to get a timeout for John Paul the Great before the held ball. So the Wolves had 4. They'll now be down to 3. But, again, I don't love using a timeout to gain possession in the first half, but we're in the fourth quarter. You had 4.
Yeah.
It's a good timeout, and John Paul the Great will have an opportunity to put the lead into single digits for the first time since, I'd say, mid-second quarter.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Well, that decision to use that timeout for a ball position. But you have 6 minutes left, 3 timeouts. You can take one every 2 minutes. It's enough time. I think we were talking about the seniors early. Obviously the two that get the most playing time, Leland Coleman and Luke Fisher. I think for this team, the buck really stops with Leland. I think he's co-captain. I think people constantly look to him. He's the president of the school.
Yeah.
So people naturally look to him. There's certain things you just know about this team. Davion Brown's going to be able to come out and be fast and aggressive and excellent on defense. Alex Shakes is going to come out here and nail threes from essentially what looks like half court to most of us. But Leland, if he's able to get his confidence up and keep his body language up, he's so deadly and a very good player, very motivated, and it'll show when the Titans are usually winning. Leland's feeling good on the night.
Yeah, I agree. Great defensive play there by Trey Coles, and then a nice pass. Mason Patrick hits Alex Shaken, and the lead is back to 13. But, Ryan, I think that's a good point. When Leland plays well, this team's upside is very high. Although I do think Leland I was not at the collegiate game. I had another commitment, but I watched the stream. She thought he did play pretty well on Friday. Not a lot of other guys had a great night, but usually as Leland goes, so go the Titans in many cases. Mason Patrick's three hit the shot clock, so that'll be Wolves ball.
Always interested to see when that happens, when the ball hits the shot clock. You always kind of wonder what could have happened, but it is positioned pretty well that I think it probably would have hit the back of the backboard either way. Bobbled ball. Great job by Harris to maintain possession.
Yeah, he's a really impressive player. He still has probably close to half their points. He's had some great assists, a lot of steals. I would describe Jaden Harris as my kind of player.
Yeah.
And it always seems like any team from Northern Virginia, D.C., Maryland, they all have those tough point guards like Harris. And I think you're going to see the fifth foul on Amarian Custis. And Custis was just never really totally able to get into the flow tonight. He was in foul trouble from quarter number one. He got 2 fouls in the first. And now we have a technical, I believe.
Yep, technical on Custis.
And that's also on Custis. What did he do?
Very loud profanity.
Profanity?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he just fouled out, so obviously he's frustrated. But it is pretty much fact that once you fouled out, you can't really help your team anymore, but you can still hurt them by dropping profanity and giving the Titans 2 free throws that they make. And look, we saw it on the other side of things in the third quarter, because that wasn't going to be a shooting foul. You know, those are just 2 free, unnecessary points.
The referee's talking to the coach at St. John Paul, maybe trying to figure out implications of that technical foul.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Hunt from John Paul the Great, I've coached against him many times. He's usually pretty animated. He's actually been pretty low-key tonight. A couple of things that I thought would have really angered him, he kind of wasn't super upset about, is we have a charge offensive foul going to be called on Mason Patrick. Scoreboard says number 10 has 6 fouls because he had the 5 plus the tech. I don't know if I've ever seen that in this gym, that the 6 used on the foul monitor. But
I wonder,
does he start the next game with 1?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so, but
I guess
that is probably a phantom foul call on Luke Fisher as Harris just threw up a desperation shot. I don't think Luke touched him. But sometimes when your opponent gets a tech called against them, you end up paying the price a little bit as well because the officials, they're like, we're going to take control of the game. And their way of taking control of the game is blowing the whistle more. And so we've seen now, since that technical, the Titans get called for a charge. Now a very questionable call on Fisher. And I'm not even saying they're makeup calls. I just think officials naturally want to, get a handle on things, and sometimes that impacts both teams. Harris made the first, missed the second. 12-point lead as we enter the final 4 minutes of tonight's contest.
Titans currently holding a 12-point lead.
Trey Coles for three.
Great shot by him.
Increases the lead to 15. That's his second three-pointer of the night. Luke Fisher with another rebound. This time Trey Coles penetrates. Leland out to Luke. Shaken. Gotta be a block. Wow. Next summer when they go to officials camp, that's when they can show as a textbook example of a block that got called as a charge.
Write it down, clip it and ship it. That's that'll be in there.
Kid undercut Chaikin, and they're going to call it on Chaikin. But 15-point lead for the Titans. Make it 12 as the three-pointer is knocked down by Ilya Olenev. Exactly 3 minutes to go. You have just a slight discrepancy between the clock on the scoreboard in the gym and what you're seeing on the monitor, just because sometimes I think our monitor keeps time a little faster. Timeout by the Wolves there, so they still have 2 to go. And again, I would look for some defensive change here, whether it's either setting up a press or switching to some different defense coming out of the timeout.
Yeah, I think their options are a bit more limited. Talik Montgomery, a phenomenal player that Titans have, is currently injured. I think he sprained his ankle. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that is. So he's definitely maybe not as threatening on the offensive side of things. Phenomenal defender, just like Davion Brown. So the ability, they're not going to have him to put him.
Well. Yeah. So they didn't press. They are staying with the zone. I'm not really sure why bother with the timeout. And then, I'm sorry, but now we get a block. That was more of a charge than what they called the charge, but it is not a shooting foul. And Titans have only 4 guys in the game. Now Trey Ferguson, it's like a hockey substitution. While all that happened, Alex Chaikin hit a 3. Trey Ferguson thought he blocked a shot, but he's going to get called for his 4th foul. And, the Titans had 4 guys on the court, then 6, then 4, then 5. And some of the John Paul parents are not happy that the technical wasn't called. Free throw is no good, and as impressive as Jaden Harris has been tonight, he's not shot free throws particularly well. Makes that one, though. 63-49. And Luke Fisher will slowly walk it up. This is when I like to say the clock is your friend.
Yeah.
Just want to keep that clock moving. You do not want to throw it into the 3-person student section. And they're going to say that was deflected, which is an absolutely atrocious call. We had the angle. That should not be Trinity ball. Trey Coles just simply lost the handle. And John Paul the Great has a right to feel aggrieved after that call.
Yeah. They're going to throw it back to Luke. Shot clock is going to be at 15 originally, but Luke will nail
Luke Fisher
the shot.
takes advantage, hits a pull-up, timeout Titans. And, I mentioned that we have a 3-person student section, so I feel like they deserve an individual shout-out. That's Darcy Kopsonis, Lucy Wright, and
Catherine.
I think Catherine Pollard, one of the Pollard twins. A little tough to tell from up here, but hey, credit to them for coming out to support the team tonight.
Colin Flood and Tyler Crawford were here in the beginning as well.
Yeah, Colin Malbone. Saw a lot of football guys were here for a while. Maddie Houston, Cam Fleming, Zaire Rayner, I think Cornell Allen. But there's just 3
Remaining.
11th graders. Oh, no, sorry, Lucy's a 10th grader left in the student section.
Yeah.
I can pretty much guarantee you at the next home game, which is next Friday against Collegiate, there will be several hundred. Benedictine's the week after, which will have
My fault.
hopefully every Trinity student will be at that.
Yep. I expect nothing less out of the Titans student section.
Yeah. So those
And-
are a couple broadcasts we have to look forward to in the next couple weeks. So, yeah, our next home game is next Friday, February 3rd against Collegiate.
Quick
Then it's Thursday, February 9th, Benedictine.
Quick shout out for that game. It is going to be tight night, so if you're watching this as a prospective student, oh my,
Get out,
Leland.
come out.
And you can see plays
Plays
just like that,
That
from
big
Leland
time block
Coleman.
by Leland Coleman. Maybe we can interview some prospective students.
That would be. I think if I was, a little 8th grader and I was coming to look at a potential school that I go to,
Yeah.
and I got asked to do an interview live on stream, I'm not
You're not sure.
I'm not sure how I'd feel, about that one. That would be very nerve-wracking.
If TESPN existed when I was in 8th grade, I would have gone to Trinity all over again. I think that's the 5th foul on Trey Ferguson. That's another example of where that technical hurts you because you have 4 personals plus the tech count. So Trey Ferguson is done for the night. And, Trey didn't stuff the stat sheet, but he had some toughness, defensive pressure, and just maturity as, he's a man out there, again, going to be playing Division I football at the Naval Academy in about 7 months from now. Trey, as I love to always mention, was the receiver for arguably the most famous play in Titan sports history, the 2-point conversion in the state championship football game last year, and the touchdown that led to it. Certainly the most famous play in TESPN history.
Yeah.
We almost broke the internet. That free throw was good by Garcia, and that's also, you don't want to commit a foul with the clock stopped like that and just give St. John Paul the Great a chance to score with no time running off the clock. But hopefully, with a 14-point lead and 2 minutes to go, hopefully this one's secure. I know the JV game, we had about a 30-point lead, and they cut it all the way to 10. Devion Brown needs to be careful as the almost a 5-second violation there. 10 on the shot clock.
Leland's
Luke
pass.
Fisher.
Wow.
I tell you what, that's about a perfect possession in this time and score where you run 25 seconds or so off the clock and then get a layup and an and one. That's kind of the nail in the coffin.
Agreed. Now a 16-point lead for the Titans with a minute 40 to go.
Yeah. Yeah, so about a minute 40. Another great pass by Harris. But the shot did not fall for Olenev, and then we're going to get a foul call on Harris. His 4th foul, 6th team foul. So this is the last foul we'll see that does not bring free throws with it. Rodney Archer was trying to get checked into the game, but didn't quite get to the scorer's table in time. Jakin Coleman. And if the previous possession wasn't the nail in the coffin, that one was. Leland Coleman with the dunk. Titans up 18. And after a rocky first quarter, this has been a good performance by Trinity, although, I mean, that was not the greatest defensive possession. I think these guys knew they were about to come out, and they may have mentally checked out before they physically did, because they allowed Garcia to blow by defender and get an and one. But we see Colin Edsel, Cameron Lindo, Rodney Archer, Carter Schuma all checking in. Alex Chaikin remains in. And, yeah, the bench a little bit shorter tonight with 3 guys in street clothes, A.K. Key, Andrew Jones, and Talik Montgomery all injured. And good rebound there by Cameron Lindo. They're going to foul Chaikin, and as I have 2 hungry children here with me, I'm really hoping they don't keep these fouls going, because there's no reason to extend this game with now a 17-point lead and 1:01 to go.
Especially on Chaikin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about never give up, never say die, but you got a long ride back to Dumfries. Let's just end this thing as Chaikin knocks them both down. Now he'll sub out, and Mason Patrick checks back in. Just so we're doing all our accounting here, that foul was on Gavin Enriquez, sophomore, and they are going to foul again. This one on Hancock.
Cameron Lindo will come to the line. Going to see his.
Yeah, so that's good to see.
Yeah.
Hopefully Cameron will get in the scorebook tonight. It is a 1-1. Want to thank our stat guy tonight, Matthew Roberts, as Lindo's free throw is no good. And we're going to give it to John Paul the Great. Another shout out for producer Ash Bell. Color commentator Ryan Lloyd, who is growing with each broadcast.
Working on it.
Bringing notes, preparation.
Ooh. Great job by Rodney Archer.
Next year in my sports broadcasting elective, I'm going to talk about coming into the game with notes. But you already have an A and you haven't even taken the class yet.
I don't get many of those, so it'll be nice.
And now Rodney picks up a foul as he tried to put some pressure on, and I think a little trash talk going back now, because I guess the John Paul players were saying that they broke Rodney's ankles, and they were hooting and hollering, and Titans reminding them to take a look at the scoreboard, which says 71-53. Also, there's no reason for this last minute to take 5 minutes in an 18-point game. And they miss them both. Loose ball and another foul as only 2 seconds come off the clock. This one's on Colin Edsel.
What can you do?
All right, Ryan, ask me anything about Trinity basketball, just to try and keep the whatever viewers we have left for this last minute.
I don't know. I didn't really have anything.
You didn't bring notes for this, did you?
No, I didn't really expect this last minute to go for this long. I don't know. I think you mentioned earlier that Jaden Harris kind of reminds me of you. Were in high school. He's maybe on the smaller side, which I know, and a phenomenal shooter and great point guard. And John Paul will foul again.
This is going to become like a long-form extended interview if they keep fouling.
I mean,
I love Jaden Harris's game, and he is certainly a better scorer than I ever was. But the steals and assists, those are things I would say I prided myself on, and just that true old-school point guard mentality as Rodney Archer misses the first, and I know Rodney wants to get on the score sheet, and I think he's going to. Rodney's going to make this one.
I believe
that Rodney will make it.
Yes. And he does.
did. Yeah, Harris is the man. Really just love what he's done. You see the ball handling, step back three, good rebound by Colin Edsel. Shot clock is off.
And
Rodney's already in the scorebook, so we do not need him fouled. And looks like they're not going to foul.
gonna let the clock expire.
So, yeah, Titans hopefully will have a good day of preparation tomorrow and get ready to play a very, very good St. Anne's Belfield team on Friday in Charlottesville. Stab comes in number 1 in the prep league, number 2 in the state. They've won 13 in a row. So it'll be a huge challenge, but I think at times tonight these guys show they can play with anybody. First quarter was kind of rough. Second quarter was awesome. Third wasn't that great, but the fourth was pretty good till the officials decided they wanted to make it the longest quarter ever.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, Titans back to winning ways. They improved their record to 11-6. John Ball the Great drops to 8-10. And let's get some final stats for you guys. Alex Chaikin with, I would say, a maybe quiet 21 points, as well as 7 rebounds. Luke Fisher with 19 points and 9 rebounds. Leland Coleman, 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Mason Patrick, 9 points and 6 rebounds. Devion Brown, 6 points, 5 rebounds. And Trey Coles with 6 points on 2 3-pointers. For the Wolves, it was Jaden Harris, like we talked about, leading the way with 19. He also had 5 assists. And Ilya Olenev was the second leading scorer. He had 12. So good job to our stat guy, Matthew Roberts. Also, Rodney had a point, and Matthew wants to make sure he gets credit for that. Ryan, I'll ask you player of the game.
Chaikin. I think you mentioned quiet 21. Actually, I'm going to change that. I looked down at the stat sheet. I'm going to say Fisher.
Yep.
I think he put on a phenomenal game. I think he was, as we always, it feels like we always mention it, deadly from all 3 sides of the game. We saw some, I think, he tended to make a few more right-handed layups in the second half. His left hand was phenomenal, and I think he had some crucial passes in transition that helped. So Luke Fisher's going to be my player of the game.
Yeah, I agree. Luke Fisher as well for me, player of the game. Alex Chaikin did have a great game, no doubt about it, but I do think most of his 21 came in the fourth quarter when the outcome was pretty much decided. I mean, I wouldn't say it was over. Certainly it wasn't garbage time, but I feel like Luke is who got the Titans the big lead, and so it's going to be unanimous from Ryan Lloyd and I that our State Farm player of the game is Luke Fisher with 19 points. It says 4 rebounds. I actually think he had more rebounds than that, and an assist. So great job by Luke and Alex and really all the guys. And I think that just about does it for tonight. So our next broadcast, again, will be next Friday against Collegiate as the Titans will try and get revenge. And that will be, I believe that's not a doubleheader. Benedictine St. Gertrude night's a doubleheader for us. But, tune in next Friday, or if you're in town, get here as the Titans try and get revenge against Collegiate, who beat us last week. All right, Ryan, thanks a lot. Great job tonight. Thanks to all our viewers, and we'll see you next